Anyway, all right, lots to get to as we welcome in my friend, who I'm always proud to call my friend, Ralph Peters, retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel, Fox News strategic analyst, author, among other great best-selling books, of Hell or Richmond. Hello, sir.
Hey, Steve, always great to speak with you.
Always great to talk to you. All right, let's start. Oh, there's actually something I want you to hear, and this relates to China and the cyber spying and the whole thing. Let's listen to this.
Do something serious. If you do this in conjunction with that, then it means something. I mean, the way that the Justice Department announced this is a new, groundbreaking step. This is like tweeting Ukraine or tweeting the Boko Haram kidnappings. This is a government with power, not using it and engaging in empty gestures instead.
All right, that's Charles Krauthammer talking about what the Department of Justice did yesterday, coming down on China, naming names, and of course, very little, if any, chance that they'll ever be prosecuted. What are we looking at here? How big a threat is China? What do you think of what the Department of Justice did? And of course, today, Ralph, the Chinese summoned the U.S. ambassador to meet with the ambassador to China in China, and read him the Riot Act.
Well, the Chinese are used to escaping without criticism. And however weak and lame the administration's action was, and it was weak and lame, nonetheless, it was something. At least they spoke up for once. Now, Charles Krauthammer is right. I mean, this is a relatively empty gesture because it names 5 accused in China, members of the military, and obviously China is not going to extradite them to the United States to be tried, and they know that, and we knew that. But it was at least a gesture, the administration at least saying, ooh, China is really, really a problem. And it is really a problem because China, for years, and under the Bush administration as well, China has just been stealing and stealing and stealing. They steal every industrial secret they can, in addition to our military secrets. They've been abetted by immigrants in some cases, but now in the cyber world, they don't need spies on the ground for most things. What they do is they crack our codes, and it's really sad because the mainstream media just vilify the NSA. Ooh, the NSA is looking over your shoulder while you're surfing porn sites. The NSA has been protecting us as best they could against threats such as this massive, massive and destructive Chinese threat. Now, the difference, though, Steve, is that we work against their government. Our NSA, our cyber efforts, military and otherwise, are used to protect our country. They're for security. The Chinese work for their own security, certainly, but they also steal. The state steals industrial secrets, patent secrets, software secrets from the United States, ignores copyrights, and uses them, gives them to state-owned industries and semi-private or private Chinese industries so they can skip the R&D costs and bankrupt U.S. companies. I mean, the Chinese, it's monolithic. They steal everything and they use everything. Whereas we, of course, have a firewall. Our government won't steal something from a German company like Siemens and give it to General Electric. We don't do that. But the funny thing is, again about all the outrage over the NSA scandal, the Europeans do. Until the Chinese came along and really matured in their theft, the worst offenders were the French, stealing everything they could from us. But anyway, the bottom line of all this is the Chinese are stealing, hurting America every day. The administration at least spoke up, but they have done nothing that matters.
Yeah, and I wonder why they rocked the boat and spoke up. As you said, at least it was something. But knowing that it's not going to result in anything, why stir the pot, in your view, if it's only going to incur the wrath of the Chinese, if this is only as far as you're willing to go, or do you think it's a precursor to more action somewhere down the road?
No, I think actually everybody's missing why the administration did this. It's obvious to me. The administration did this because of Obama's recent trip to the Far East, where he found out that the Japanese, the Filipinos, were all just distrustful of the United States. afraid that we would not step up and honor our mutual defense treaties and other treaties with them against China. So this was the administration's weenie, wimpy, wanky way of trying to reassure our East Asian allies and clients that we'll be there for them. I mean, it's sad that the greatest power in history, all this president can muster is indictment. The gesture's better than nothing, but it's certainly not going to reassure our East Asian allies. The United States, in my lifetime, and even before my lifetime, throughout the 20th century into the 21st, even before the First World War, we never looked as weak. We never looked like you could push us around so easily. It's really pathetic, Steve.
I got to tell you, weenie, wimpy, wacky. That's
wanky.
Wanky. Oh, okay.
That's my bow to the Brits.
Glad you clear that up. No, I couldn't agree with you more, obviously. And coming from you, it means a lot more than coming from me. Let me ask you about what is going on in Libya that's different now than, say, I don't know, 2 months ago.
Well, what's going on in Libya is somebody's actually trying to take action against the Islamist militias our State Department trusted to protect our diplomats in Benghazi. I mean, it's so upside down. Here you have a general with militias and the Libyan remnants of the Libyan army rallying around him to take on the Islamist militias backed by Al-Qaeda, and we're now suddenly we're worried. We weren't worried when Al-Qaeda was and its affiliates are running entire cities in Libya, but now that somebody's fighting the Islamists, we're worried. And you can see what's coming. This wimpy, wanky administration is going to say, "Oh, they're subverting democracy." Well, just as they did in Egypt when the administration tried to protect Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood. You watch. The State Department is going to crack down, come down hard, although their hard is not really that hard. They're going to come down and threaten the guy who is doing our dirty work and fighting the Islamists. We are pathetic.
Well, it's consistent, is it not? I mean, whenever there's a chance to support the Islamists, as you mentioned, in Egypt and elsewhere, we seem to be on that side, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's really sad. I don't think it's some big, Muslim plot, and Obama's a secret Muslim.
No, I'm not implying that either.
Obama's a total loser. He doesn't understand the world. I mean, he's great at getting elected. He's terrible at governing. This guy can campaign forever. He can't govern. He doesn't care about the world beyond our shores. He doesn't do his homework, doesn't understand something as elementary as human nature. I mean, you'd think he'd learn something about human nature just from sitting in the Reverend Wright's church so long in Chicago, but that didn't even register on him. I mean, this guy lives in a dream world. People like Putin, powers like the Chinese, enemies like Al-Qaeda, and our president acts as though it's an issue for the faculty lounge.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought up Putin because what was the story yesterday that Putin has ordered the troops to stand down and back off and withdraw? Is there anything to that?
So far, he hasn't moved a single man. I mean, he said this twice before, so this is the third time he said it.
Right.
It'd be great if he does, but he really does not want the next week's election, the May 25th Ukrainian election, to go off nicely in the eastern provinces. He will do everything he can to make sure that in Luhansk and the Donetsk basin, it doesn't go off well. And it's again, we've talked about this before, Steve, but Putin is brilliant. Look how he's done this sleight of hand, this diversionary tactic.
Yep.
He's got us all worried about eastern Ukraine, and nobody even talks about Crimea anymore.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Finally, this VA scandal. I mean, this has to bother someone in your position even more than it bothers someone like me.
Well, it does, but not in the way you'd think, Steve. I think the lynch mob going after General Shinseki is outrageous and wrong-headed. Some of them have their hearts in the right place. Some of them have their heads up their butts. The Veterans Administration is never going to get a better, more selfless, and more dedicated boss than General Eric Shinseki. And, I always challenge people, okay, you want to get rid of Shinseki, who are you going to put in there? Give me a name. Quality people aren't lining up to take that job. It's the most thankless job in Washington, Steve. And I will tell you, Eric Shinseki, a wounded veteran himself, lost half his foot to a landmine in Vietnam. He was a retired four-star general, former Army Chief of Staff. Shinseki could have gone out and prostituted himself to the defense industry the way so many generals and admirals do. He could have been making millions of dollars every year doing just about nothing. Instead, he passed on that, took a thankless job, and he has been making things better. But there are still problems in the VA. And by the way, I also have to say that every one of my friends who relies on the VA is actually pretty happy with their care. They feel it's better than most civilian hospitals.
I'm glad to hear that, and that's a
but
very...
only very quickly.
We only got 20 seconds, so go.
All right,
yeah.
20 seconds. Man, don't blame Shinseki. The problem isn't Shinseki. He's trying to clean it up. The problem is the civil service regulations. You can't fire bad people, and the federal unions. You can't fire terrible people.
As always, Ralph, a pleasure, an honor. Thank you, my friend, very much.
All right, thank you.
Take care. Ralph Peters, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting take, very unique take from what I've heard so far. And I love Ralph. We're coming back. Steve Malzberg's show.